So moving into our top 5, we're kicking it off with article number 1, and this is Securitize raising $48 million. This is a round led by Morgan Stanley, your company of the week this week, as well as Blockchain Capital, who is my company of the week this week. And so this is a huge round led by Morgan Stanley and VCAP. And so the Pedro Teixeira, who's the co-head of Morgan Stanley's tactical value team, came out, and he's actually going to be joining the board of Securitize as well. It's a big deal.
Big deal. It's a massive sign of validation from both Blockchain Capital, who is continuing their investment. They've got other great investors like Algorand, Ava Labs, and I believe Sumitomo Mitsui as well out of Japan, as well as many, many others, including Morgan Stanley. Huge validation. That's why we chose them as our companies of the week, for making a strategic bet on a company like Securitize, which is definitely now proven that is here to stay and is here to scale the product market fit that it's found with its tokenization platform. And we do know that imminently we expect, the marketplace that they've been touting for a while now that's going to launch should be coming out to market soon, as well as 2 additional products, their own funds that are going to be tokenized that they're launching as well. So lots of good stuff happening for Securitize, but most of all, I think, Kyle, we're excited about the fact that it shows that this industry is moving into its next phase.
Large banks, large firms getting involved. Visa and PayPal led the Blockchain Capital round that was then leading this round. So you got Morgan Stanley, you got Visa, you got PayPal, you got all these huge players that are, they know what's coming. They see this wave coming, and you love to see it.
Moving on to number 2, we actually see some big bank activity out in Europe, where we saw the Central Bank of France actually continue more experiments trialing with blockchain to settle securities, this time around with SIBA Bank out of Switzerland, as well as working with, Bank International Luxembourg to work and create this most recent successful experiment here. So they actually plan to continue to do more of this throughout the year, which again shows you that, especially we'll get into it in a little bit, that the big banks are looking at this technology very, very seriously.
Yeah, they launched in March 2020, so they completed, I guess, maybe about a year trial using CBDCs, and it worked out very well for them. The settlement process was clear, it worked out smoothly, and here's hoping that they launch more products or bring something to the public test.
The Bank of France actually developed a CBDC, a central bank digital currency, so it's a digital euro that they've been using as part of this settlement and clearing process, which they've also done successfully with Société Générale, another bank in France. But this one is different because we now have some cross-jurisdiction overlap here, and it was still a successful trial, so definitely check that out if you're interested more in that. Kyle, what's number 3?
Number 3, we're going into Singapore, and another exchange has been approved by the Monetary Authority of Singapore, this time coming from HG Exchange, HGX. And so the goal here is to launch a platform to trade digital and non-digital securities to a global investor base for global companies. They have this global mindset, and that's fantastic because, as we just talked about, multi-jurisdictional assets trading and access is going to be incredibly important when we're talking about security tokens. And so they're focused on a lot of different assets. They're trying to be very agnostic here. They noted specifically in the press release high-growth companies, funds, and loan products, as well as unconventional financial products, including luxury goods such as art, wines, and whiskeys. So they're trying to get involved in a lot of different angles here.
A broad platform and a big deal to graduate and be able to now be operational with an MAS. They've got a great model over in Singapore where they have this fintech sandbox that you can operate in with a limited capability, but under the watchful eye of the regulator, so that you can test your platform and launch and prove your use case. And they certainly did that. In their press release, they noted $500,000 a month for the previous last 6 months in trading volume. So there is activity happening on these platforms in Singapore, and now they're ready to go big, clearly very big, because they're going to list almost just about anything.
It's fantastic to see. We now have ADDX, which was formerly iStocks, as well as HGX, and a few others that have been approved as well. Singapore is a hotbed for security token activity.
Moving into number 4, we have Wedbush and Paxos. Wedbush is a $2 billion plus asset manager and client services, financial services provider, and they have partnered up with Paxos to be one of the 7 that Paxos is able to work with on providing securities settlement, focusing on stocks and leveraging the blockchain for the same use case as we just saw with the Bank of France to clear and settle securities, U.S. securities in this case, instantly.
So Paxos launched the Paxos Settlement Service, which is a private permissioned blockchain solution allowing for that bilateral trade settlement between the two different parties. And they also have that immediate settlement instead of that 2+2 that we've been talking about from an analog perspective. Presumably, Bank of America is another one of these 7 that they're working with. We covered that a few weeks ago, who's also going to be settling securities, leveraging the Paxos settlement solution on chain. And the one fascinating piece that I wanted to drop in here is that they note in the press release that the PSS, the Paxos Settlement Service, reduces transaction fees by 70%.
That's a lot.
And reduces clearing capital requirements, which is you need to put up some collateral in order to settle securities. So 70%, that seems really high, but even if that's true, or even if you need to take 50%, I mean, which banks, which financial service providers aren't going to want to use this for their transactions?
Clearly the future, and Paxos, for those of you who don't know, that's why we keep referring as one of 7, has a no action letter from the SEC, which means they basically won't get any enforcement action from the SEC to provide these settlement services to 7 specific firms. That's what they're limited to in order to test out their technology before needing the right licenses to move forward. So that's a big deal that Paxos was able to receive that. And now they're working with some great partners. So congratulations to Wedbush and Paxos there. That's some great stuff.
And finally, number 5, we have a partnership between Standard Chartered Bank as well as BC Group. And they're coming together to launch a JV, joint venture, to offer crypto trading, buying, and custody services for their international clients. BCG has a tech platform called the OSL that is where they're actually leveraging a lot of the tech, and then Standard Chartered, being one of the largest banks in the world, is then providing the client access for this. So there's more and more digital asset demand around the world. A lot of that is focused specifically on crypto, Ethereum, and other digital assets. But this is a big time partnership and they're getting involved.
OSL is one of the leading Hong Kong digital securities and blockchain infrastructure providers and one of the regulated players out there. But partnership with Standard Bank or Standard Chartered, I mean, they have over 3/4 of $1 billion, $750 billion, of $1 trillion, I should say, in assets under management. That's a crazy amount. This is one of the biggest banks in the world, and they have just said that they're going to partner up and launch a digital asset venue for the Europe area. So for specifically focusing in this jurisdiction, we know Standard Chartered is based in the UK. So presumably, as per their press release, they're going to be working to bring their network to Standard Chartered or to BC Group, or in this case, most likely OSL's specific technology to merge the two and make this all possible.
Industry adoption is happening every minute of the day. That's our top 5, and take it away with the industry news.
Let's get to it.